After the arrival and controversial launch of Fallout 76 in the fall of 2018, one of my immediate reactions at the time was a bit concern and disappointment that a new single-player Fallout experience was many years to come, because 76 very much fills a void that ESO has filled for the Elder Scrolls. From the last single-player Elder Scrolls experience, Skyrim, to the Elder Scrolls 6, that's going to be a gap of probably 16 to 17 years, and Fallout 4 to Fallout 5 is going to be following a similar trajectory. Unfortunately, this is the reality. This is how Bethesda goes about game development, and their cycles are only getting longer and longer. And obviously, Bethesda and Todd Howard could change things. They could have another studio come in and work on Fallout, but obviously that's not what they want to do. Honestly, I think that they should follow a trajectory that CD Projekt Red has done with Cyberpunk and The Witcher, which is opening a studio just focused on Cyberpunk. But obviously, Bethesda has resorted to having a studio focus on Fallout, but only Fallout 76, which I think is a mistake, and hopefully Microsoft smartens up. But for the time being, the only new Fallout experiences we are getting is for modders. We talked about that earlier this year. Fallout London was absolutely fantastic. It was truly, I think it rivaled some of the Bethesda content that we've gotten for the last number of years. It was that good, and I did play it all the way through. So many hours of content, so much exploration, and I have my own review impressions. Glowing impressions, honestly, overall with this experience, and I am happy to see that it is one of the biggest mod projects ever, as it surpassed 1 million redemptions on GOG. Just fantastic results for that team, and there has been some news indicating that they may be forming a studio, doing their own thing, and I'm actually really excited to see what they can do with their own original ideas, because there was a lot of originality within this mod, and it truly shows that these people have talent. So awesome to see, and we have seen other Fallout projects, like Fallout Mexico is just announced, and I swear, these mod projects are just being announced left and right. But we also did see a Fallout 1 remake that was looking quite ambitious. There was a demo that was released earlier this year, and it was just canceled because the development team, these are all volunteers, they just couldn't make it work with their time, and I guess they released everything in hopes that maybe another team can, work on this project in the years to come. But this is the reality with Fallout mods. There's always some very ambitious ones that come to light. Some of them eventually do release, but most of them, unfortunately, end up getting canceled like this. But this is the modding scene. This is what makes Bethesda experiences, and modders have been working overtime with these franchises for many, many years. Not just with Fallout, but obviously also the Elder Scrolls. Now, with Bethesda and the current state of Fallout, we obviously had Fallout Day just the other day. Bethesda was hyping this up quite a bit. We saw this specific tweet, I'll show it right here. It was an official Bethesda gear page, but unfortunately, a lot of people don't look at this, and many of the responses were like, oh my god, I wonder what this is, because they say, stay tuned, Wanderers and Wastelanders, something big is coming. And we all knew that this, well, most of us logically knew that this was probably something gear related, a toy, and I think it was like a Mothman plushie or something, but people really were expecting more out of Fallout Day. This was I think it's a new annual event that they're going to be doing, and Bethesda did have a countdown. A lot of people were looking to Fallout 4 days and saying, hey, they're doing a countdown again. Maybe this is an indication. Maybe it's not Fallout 5. Maybe it's not a spin-off, but maybe it's a remaster or something else. And yeah, this is what I mean. 5 days away from Fallout Day broadcast, will you be tuning in? And a lot of people saying, oh my god, I wonder what they're going to be announcing, and people mentioning Fallout 5 to the TV show and so on and so forth. And then they did a 3 days, and people were saying, again, expecting all kinds of different things, from Season 2 to a New Vegas Fallout 3 Remastered collection, and yeah, New Vegas remake. And then even the day before, they had another tease in which individuals saying, this has to be more than just Fallout 76, definitely not Fallout 5, but they've been hyping this event a lot compared to previous events. If you announce nothing of significance after hyping this up, then hands will be thrown, and yeah, this is modern day Bethesda. I do think that after Starfield and especially Shattered Space, some people were expecting maybe Bethesda would come out and say, hey, get excited about this, because they did something similar with Fallout 76 when they announced that game and they knew there was going to be controversy with it. They announced the Elder Scrolls 6, they showed off a little bit of Starfield. Obviously, that decision has not aged all that well, because maybe people look at that trailer and say, it's been 6 years, what the heck's going on with it? But the only reason why we get that announcement trailer for the Elder Scrolls 6 was because of Fallout 76. So I think some people maybe rightfully assumed that after Starfield Shattered Space disappointed so many, maybe Bethesda would come out with something to get people excited for, but well, that's not what happened at all. First ever Fallout Day broadcast reveals Fallout 76 ghoul gameplay, camp pets, and teases fishing. Yes, if you didn't know, Fallout 76 was the only focus of this 40-minute presentation, which obviously has been met to a lot of uproar from the Fallout community. For those still playing Fallout 76 all those years later, there's definitely some massive content additions here. As it mentions, one of the new features, 76 is getting a camp pets later this year. This feature kicks off with 2 pets, a cat and a dog. This was something leaked years ago. I remember it's a conversation about it. And then also in December, players are getting titles. Endgame players are getting a new upcoming Gleaming Depths raid, a traditional MMO-style dungeon set to challenge the hardcore. We did see one article, which I had, I guess, an interesting way of describing this. Sorry, Todd Howard, but you can't fool us with this new Space Marine 2 knockoff mode, which... whatever. I mean, all of this is great for Fallout 76. I'm glad that this game is getting new content. I think if you compare it to traditional Fallout experiences, this has gone to great lengths to... I'm not sure how canon a lot of this is. Let's just put it that way. They also announced 4-star legendaries are coming to 76, and then they also said Bethesda showed off some new ghoul gameplay and revealed how it works, because yes, next year you're going to be able to play as a ghoul, which actually I think that's a great, really cool new addition. And then another new feature, obviously they teased fishing in 76, another requested feature that probably should have came many years ago. And then the broadcast ended with Todd Howard. He just kind of showed up for a few seconds because that's what Todd does. He thanks fans for their support and said the studio is looking forward to more Fallout even after 20 years working on the franchise, which yeah, they should have just announced this as a Fallout 76 event, because there were expectations that more was going to be shown, or give Fallout fans some hope that we're going to be getting more than just the TV show in 76 for the foreseeable future, but that's not what happened, and that's not what's going to be happening, because it seems like Bethesda is just focused on the Elder Scrolls 6, and for Fallout fans, it's a waiting game until maybe we get some news on Fallout 5 or any of the other rumored projects in development. More specifically, we have this article about it, Fallout fans heartbroken by the new Bethesda announcement. Although Bethesda's Fallout Days was a success for some, it was disappointing for others, with the event seemingly focused on one entry more than anything else. And I will agree, when you have these countdowns and you're asking people like, oh, what are you going to show? What are you going to show? I genuinely think you really should come out immediately and say it's just going to be 76. And obviously they did have some posts saying that they're going to have 76 in developer interviews, but obviously I think many individuals thought that there may be some sort of tease for something else, and there was absolutely nothing else. But yeah, this article goes on to mention yesterday saw Bethesda come together to present a 40-minute showcase talking about its future plans for the Fallout series and just Fallout 76. However, many fans were left feeling disappointed after the show seemingly only focused on the online-only Fallout 76. They hyped it up for 5 days and then gave us 20 minutes of 76 LMAO. One of the top comments read, "Jesus Christ, it's starting to really set in that I'll be middle-aged before I see another single-player Fallout," which, don't remind me, because the gap between not just Fallout, but really a lot of gaming franchises, it's getting absurd and kind of crazy. Might as well have called it Fallout 76 Day, as I just said, at least that way that no one would have gotten their hopes up, another disgruntled fan chimed in. So look, the current state of Fallout is rather frustrating. This is a franchise that I consider probably one of the biggest at Microsoft, and we're not really getting a lot out of it, and it doesn't appear that a lot is on the horizon, at least officially that we know of. Obviously, we have the Fallout TV show. Season 2 is in development. It was just revealed a couple of days ago that shooting is going to be starting next month. They'll be exploring New Vegas. Bethesda is going to be giving us some new canon stuff for that. Very interesting to see how they go about that, especially some of the changes that they've made to the lore, which has, spurred up some controversy within the Fallout community, even got the attention of a former lead developer on the franchise. But more specifically with Bethesda and their games, we had the Fallout 4 Next Gen update earlier this year, and it released as a broken mess. Obviously, there was a lot of performance and visual issues on console. There was also some massive bugs, and then there is the fact that modders have been having to deal with the Next Gen update being a broken mess so much so that if you edit NPCs, the game is pretty much just unplayable. And that's why you see massive projects like Fallout London having to have players revert to an older edition of the game. This is Bethesda. They are known for these bugs, but months later, they've heard the reports and they still have not fixed Fallout 4, and I find that so disappointing and so frustrating. But yes, just about a year or so ago, when the Activision Blizzard Xbox trial was ongoing, there was some files that were leaked in which it indicated that at some point Bethesda was planning a Fallout 3 and Oblivion remaster. Obviously, we don't know what happened to those projects, and they may have been something that was thought of and then they threw it out, but we have heard nothing officially from Bethesda, and this is still something that lingers, many fans hoping that this is just something that was delayed because they were concentrating on Starfield, and maybe Bethesda Montreal, maybe one of their smaller studios is working on a remaster. Maybe that's something we see in the years to come, but Bethesda has given no indication that these projects are even alive anymore, or were alive at any point. And then a couple of years ago, we talked about this on the channel. This was the original expectation that we'd probably have a Fallout spinoff in just a couple of years, and it was the fact that we got a report that a Fallout New Vegas 2 was being internally discussed at Microsoft. Jeff Grubb at the time said this is very early, but people have begun to have talks and say these words in sentences, and those words are Obsidian and New Vegas 2. Obviously, the expectation never was that we're going to get a New Vegas 2 specifically, because Bethesda, I definitely do think that Fallout 5 is going to be set on the West Coast, likely San Francisco, but a New Vegas 2 just means a Fallout spinoff not made by Bethesda, and likely developed by Obsidian, which could be maybe set in New Orleans or another location. Maybe they go to the East Coast this time. A lot of different possibilities, but obviously this project has not happened yet, or there has been no indication from any insider that it did end up happening. We did see, though, however, immediately after the Fallout TV show took off and there was so much interest back into the franchise, the games and everything, Xbox and insiders said that Xbox wanted the next Fallout game to come sooner rather than later. Specifically, Jez Corden on the Xbox 2 podcast said that the company is aware of the demand of the Fallout label, and everyone is acutely aware of how successful the next title in the series will be. And then this article mentions at this point, one of the only avenues that the company could take to speed up the development of Fallout 5 is to take it away from Bethesda entirely. But obviously it doesn't appear that Microsoft has any interest in that, as reports have indicated that Bethesda pretty much has autonomy, and they're pretty much letting Todd Howard do what Todd Howard wants, which the Elder Scrolls 6 at this point is years away, and then Fallout 5, which is going to be sometime in the 2030s based on this current trajectory. If there is any hope, though, there was an interesting report that came earlier this year, and it was the fact that Obsidian is working on an unannounced title other than Avowed, and yes, fans are hopeful that this is Fallout New Vegas 2, but Obsidian's been working on all kinds of different games, although some people do have hope that this may be what Josh Sawyer's working on. He was the game director of Fallout New Vegas, and a lot of people believe that maybe the reason why Pentiment was, given full reign, he was allowed to make his dream game, is so he could be brought back on board to work on, maybe a big franchise like Fallout again. And maybe that is a Fallout New Vegas 2, or a new Fallout spinoff, I should say. Wishful thinking, I suppose. And in regards to Fallout 5, I've said it before earlier in this video, and I'll say it again, it is many years away, and all indication is that Bethesda wants to be the developer of this game. As Eurogamer notes, Bethesda has a one-pager for Fallout 5, but it's still a long way off. This was in 2021 when the conversation was brought up. Howard explained that currently the studio has a one-pager for Fallout 5 outlining what it wants to do with the series, and then when asked about the possibility of shifting responsibility for a new Fallout over to another studio, Howard only offered that Fallout's really part of our DNA here, which is pretty much his way of denying that they're not going to do that. We've worked with other people from time to time. I can't say what's going to happen. If I could wave my hand and have Fallout 5 out now, I'd like to find a way to accelerate what we do, but I can't really say today or commit to anything what's going to happen when, other than our cadence, is Starfield, then Elder Scrolls 6, and obviously now it is the Elder Scrolls 6, which is still appears to be maybe 4 or 5 years away. And Todd Howard in 2022 did confirm after the Elder Scrolls 6, Fallout 5 is the next game. He said, "I wish they came out faster. I really do. We're trying as hard as we can." And Howard confirmed to IGN that Fallout 5 will be Bethesda's game studio's next game after the Elder Scrolls 6. He said, yes, Elder Scrolls 6 is in pre-production and probably now entering full development soon. We're going to be doing Fallout 5 after that, so our slate's pretty full going forward for a while. We have some other projects that we look at from time to time as well, although that appears to just be mobile games, and maybe down the road, hopefully that's a remaster, something else. And then just this past year, we did get more Fallout Fallout 5 conversation, and this is why I am very much in the camp that the next Fallout game is not going to be set in Chicago, it's not going to be set in New York, it's going to likely be set in San Francisco. As this Kotaku article says, Fallout show creators know all about Fallout 5, and the article mentions our series sits in relation to the games as the games sit in relation to each other. It's almost like we're doing Fallout 5. I don't want to sound presumptuous, but it's just a non-interactive version of it, right? And this was, I believe, the showrunner of the Fallout TV show talking about how their TV show stands to the franchise. But Jonathan Nolan at SXSW 2024 confirmed that the show it's canon. It's the latest chronological installment, and it's entirely its own original story that is at least partially informed by what game series director Todd Howard has told him not to do. Pretty much he wants to avoid, I'm sure, that this TV show getting anywhere near the territory or the area and the lore and everything that they're going to be exploring with Fallout 5, which again, I am convinced it's going to be San Francisco. Why? Because we're going to do that in Fallout 5, Howard said. Who says he has shared details of Fallout 5's eventual story with the show's creators and effectively called dibs. And as it stands right now, Fallout is just Fallout 76 and the TV show, and that'll be that way probably for many years to come. Hopefully during that span of time we do see some other projects come alive, but as it stands right now, there's no indication that anything is on the way actually. Obviously Bethesda is just focused on the Elder Scrolls 6, and reporting has indicated that the game's probably not going to be launching until 2028, probably the start of the next generation of consoles, and yeah, that's a long ways out. And I look at what CD Projekt Red has done with the Cyberpunk franchise and the Witcher franchise, and the fact that they opened a studio specifically to work on Cyberpunk, and I very much think that Bethesda should be exploring that possibility by now. A franchise like Fallout deserves a lot better, and I do consider it one of Microsoft's biggest and best, and at this point obviously Bethesda has a team focused on Fallout 76, Bethesda Austin I believe, but they do think that they need to have another studio or have other developers starting to, mess around with spin-offs and stuff. But at this point, again, there's just no indication of any of that, and it really points to the fact that the Fallout franchise feels like it's kind of stagnated. It's stuck in a point that is what the Elder Scrolls franchise has been stuck in for so long. And this is one of those things that I have such frustration with Bethesda. Obviously, there's the technical issues and all the problems I have with Starfield, but it's also the fact that these games are taking so much longer to develop. But I do feel like Todd Howard and company is holding things back by essentially having the perspective of it's our way or the highway. And based on some of the recent events like Starfield Shattered Space, it has shown that this strategy isn't exactly working. And at this point, I'm not even sure the wait for the Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be worth it, let alone Fallout 5. The current outlook for this franchise is just extremely brutal, no matter what way you look at it. But anyway, what do you make of the current state of Fallout? How long do you think we're going to be waiting until Fallout 5 or a new Fallout experience from Bethesda or another developer? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. But thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this video, or if you found any informative value. Consider subscribing for more videos like this, and I'll see you later.